grass next to yellow stained glass. How amazing. Staring at lime terracotta. How amazing. A smooth stone slab. How amazing. There's no other way to see subscribers. A pumpkin next to a honey block. How amazing. There's no other way to see YouTube subscribers. Blue concrete next to yellow concrete. How amazing. Staring at a bowl. How amazing. Spruce fence gates next to spruce stairs. How amazing. Jungle trap door next to mud. How amazing. Polished deep slate stairs next to nothing. How amazing. Subscribers. A birch stair in a chest. How amazing. A spruce door next to a jungle button. How amazing. Subscribers. Stone stairs next to a warped slab. How amazing. Exposed copper bulb. How amazing. Exposed copper door. How amazing. A crimson fence gate. How amazing. Pale oak log next to a mangrove trap door. How amazing. Subscribers. Exposed copper trap door. How amazing. A crimson slab. How amazing. Subscribers. Light blue terracotta next to lime wool. How amazing. Staring at wild flowers. How amazing. A mangrove sign. How amazing. Subscribers. A pale oak boat. How amazing. Subscribers. An acacia sapling. How amazing. Staring at a lime banner. How amazing. Birch wood next to red wool. How amazing. Staring at a yellow banner. How amazing. Gray concrete powder next to nothing. How amazing. Is there 155 subscribers? Copper stairs. How amazing. Is there 154 subscribers? Mossy stone brick wall. And andesite wall. How amazing. An oak log next to nothing. How amazing. Birch stairs next to dirt. How amazing. Pole hanging moss. This is pole hanging moss. There's a red bundle over there. There's a red bundle over there. Is there 152 subscribers? An oak boat with chest inside a chest. How amazing. An elytra. How amazing. Is there 153 subscribers? An oak door next to an acacia fence. How amazing. Green concrete. How amazing. A spruce trap door next to a birch button. How amazing. Cherry door next to a cherry button. How amazing. Is there 150 subscribers? A crimson door next to a jungle button. How amazing. A jungle door next to a birch boat. How amazing. Is there 151 subscribers? Staring polished andesite slab. How amazing. A birch door next to dirt. How amazing. A spruce trap door next to jungle planks. How amazing. Waxed block of copper. How amazing. Is there 154 subscribers? Staring at a granite slab. How amazing. Is there 149 subscribers? oxidized copper door, how amazing. Stainless oak pressure plate, how amazing. Is there 1,100 friends and subscribers? Is there 1,100 friends and subscribers? Birch planks, how amazing. A mangrove door, next to an acacia button, how amazing. Stainless jungle pressure plate, how amazing. A birch door, next to a mangrove trap door, how amazing. A pear oak log, how amazing. Staring at a block of iron, how amazing. Is there 1,145 subscribers? A heavy weighted pressure plate, how amazing. Is there 1,145 subscribers? Basalt, how amazing. Staring at iron bars, how amazing. Iron trap door, next to a block of diamond, how amazing. Smooth basalt, how amazing. Spruce fence gate, next to yellow wool, how amazing. Staring at a cherry pressure plate, how amazing. Bamboo planks, how amazing. Birch stairs, next to cobblestone, how amazing. Is there 1,143 subscribers? Staring at a stone pressure plate, how amazing. Is there 1,142 subscribers? Staring at bamboo stairs, how amazing. Is there 1,144 subscribers? A spruce button next to dirt, how amazing. A spruce trap door next to a spruce log, how amazing. A warped fence gate, how amazing. Spruce planks, how amazing. Is there 1,141 subscribers? Staring at an acacia fence gate, how amazing. Warped button, how amazing. Spruce wood next to dirt, how amazing. Staring at polished granite, how amazing. A bamboo trap door next to a pear oak fence, how amazing. Acacia stairs, how amazing. Staring at granite stairs, how amazing. Is there 1,143 subscribers? Staring at warped planks, how amazing. Is there 1,139 subscribers? Is there 1,137 subscribers? A mangrove fence next to a cherry button, how amazing. Staring at a spruce pressure plate, how amazing. A spruce trap door next to a birch door, how amazing. A brick wall next to a deep slate tile slab, how amazing. A crimson trap door next to a warped fence, how amazing. Next exposed cut copper stairs, how amazing. Is there 1,136 subscribers? Warped stairs next to cobblestone, how amazing. Wax oxidized cut copper slab, how amazing. Staring at a warped slab, how amazing. Is there 1,135 subscribers? Next exposed cut copper slab, how amazing. Is there 1,135 subscribers? Is there 1,133 subscribers? Birch stairs next to oak planks, how amazing. A stone pressure plate, how amazing. Staring at a cobblestone wall, how amazing. Staring at a birch fence gate, how amazing. Staring at a spruce log, how amazing. A polished deep slate wall, how amazing. This video does 132 subscribers. Still the jungle planks, how amazing. A bamboo pressure plate, how amazing. A crimson fence, how amazing. A mangrove slab, how amazing. Mangrove stairs, next to an acacia trapdoor, how amazing. This video does 131 subscribers. A crimson pressure plate, how amazing. This video does 130 subscribers. A crimson door, next to a bamboo button, how amazing. Oxidized cut copper, how amazing. A bamboo trapdoor, next to a cherry fence gate, how amazing. A mangrove slab, next to an acacia slab, how amazing. Bamboo stairs, next to a bamboo slab, how amazing. This video does 120 subscribers. Crimson button. This video does 129 subscribers. Staring at a block of diamond, how amazing. Staring at oxidized copper, how amazing. Staring at a dirt path, how amazing. Staring at an iron door, how amazing. Staring at a pumpkin, how amazing. This video does 126 subscribers. Podzol, how amazing. This video does 126 subscribers. Blue egg, how amazing. Staring at a diamond shovel, how amazing. This video does 125 subscribers. Staring at a netherite axe, how amazing. Cut copper, how amazing. Staring at a firefly bush, how amazing. This video does 125 subscribers. Acacia sapling, how amazing. Staring at a jungle sapling, how amazing. This video does 122 subscribers. Short grass, how amazing. Melon seeds, how amazing. Staring at a pale oak sapling, how amazing. Orange bed, next to dirt, how amazing. This video does 123 subscribers. Pale oak slab, how amazing. Staring at a pale oak fence, how amazing. Staring at mangrove stairs, how amazing. Staring at mangrove planks, how amazing. This video does 121 subscribers. Pale oak stairs, how amazing. This video does 121 subscribers. Staring at a mangrove slab, how amazing.